Hello and welcome back everyone. Today I have a video going over some Mount Rushmores of players that define the challenge in its different eras. Now I know when I say that sentence, all different definitions and thoughts come into people's minds about what do I mean by all of what I just said. So I'm going to take the time real quick to define all the terms and then we'll jump into all the different players and why I chose them for the Mount Rushmores of their era. Now when I say era, I'm using the definition that the challenge used in Battle of the Eras to make up the 4 teams. So when I mean Era 1, I'm talking about seasons 1 through season 10.
Era 2, season 11 to season 20. Era 3, season 21 to season 30. And Era 4, season 31 to season 40, including 40.
Now considering players for the different Mount Rushmores, I'm not choosing players that debuted in that specific era. I'm picking players that helped shape that era, that made a big impact in that era. So for example, Johnny Bananas debuted on season 13, which is in era 2 of the challenge. But in era 3, he was able to make multiple finals and win multiple championships. That I would be inclined to possibly, maybe, wink wink nudge nudge, put him on the Mount Rushmore for era 3 given his performance compared to what he contributed in era 2. Finally, real quick, I want to define what I'm talking about with Mount Rushmore. For some people, and the internet has really taken off with, if you make a Mount Rushmore, that means these are the 4 best players ever. Where I don't necessarily view Mount Rushmore as, say, the 4 best players. How I view it is that each person set up on this Mount Rushmore represents an aspect of the challenge. The 4 traits I'm using to populate these Mount Rushmores is competition, like daily challenge wins, elimination wins, challenge wins in general, social game. The social game has become a huge factor in the challenge, especially in later seasons, and I feel the players that have a great social game have made a very big impact on the show in general. Confessional slash drama, originally it was only going to be confessionals, as that brings entertainment to the show. But as we get to the later eras of era 3 and era 4, the pool of players giving interesting confessionals gets smaller and smaller, so I decided to build up on confessionals and drama at least to be able to give some variety, as well as drama gives some entertainment level as well to the show. And the final phase will be for iconic moments. So if there is one iconic moment or a player that brings an entertainment value or multiple memorable moments within an era, they will be put on a Mount Rushmore for an era. One final note is that I have made Mount Rushmores for both men and the women. So that means for the flagship show, we have 8 total Rushmores to go over, 32 players overall, some duplicates, as well as I'm putting 2 bonus Mount Rushmores for the All-Star Series, as there's a lot of question marks on whether the All-Star Series is going to continue, and if not, let's just make some Mount Rushmores for the men and the women of the All-Star Series. With all of that out of the way, let's jump in, starting in Era 1. Starting with the women, on the competition side, I went with Sarah Grayson. She came into the season as a massive underdog on her Road Rules team, was sent in over and over and over again, and she won 5 eliminations on the first season that ever had eliminations. For the social game, I went with Veronica. Within Era 1, she played on 7 seasons, making it to 4 finals and winning 3 championships. Within the challenges that had eliminations, she only saw 1. Veronica in the first 10 seasons and even more recently has shown that she can have a really good social game. She still has the moves to help her stay out of elimination and make it deep within seasons. For confessional slash drama, I went with Coral. This was a no-brainer. Coral's confessionals are top tier, like ever in the challenge. She was always authentic, she was always herself in any situation, and to me that's what made her confessionals so incredible and so memorable. And finally, for the person with the most iconic moment or moments, I went with Julie. Because I think in the first 10 seasons, the most memorable moment is Julie versus Veronica in the first daily challenge of season 8, where Julie went no holds barred trying to get Veronica to disqualify and let go of the rope in the most wild way. Alright, let's move on to the Era 1 Men's Mount Rushmore, and we're going to start off with the competition side, and I'm going to go with Darrell. Darrell, in the 3 seasons he played in Era 1, he was able to win 27 daily challenges. see 0 eliminations, make the final in all 3 of those seasons, and win all 3 of those seasons. To be fair, Darrell could have been nominated for the social part of this game because, like I said, he didn't see an elimination on any of these 3 seasons. Darrell is just an A+ competitor, especially back in the day in Era 1. For the social game, I went with Mark Long. Kind of like Veronica, Mark has one of, if not the best social games in all of the challenge. He competed on 3 seasons of the challenge during Era 1. He won 2 of the 3 and could have won 3 out of 3, but he decided to sacrifice himself in Season 9, allowing Dan, Theo, and Eric to run the final in Season 9 as long as they were willing to split the money 4 ways. If that's not a team player and working on a social game, I don't know what is. Speaking of Theo Von, I put him up here for the confessionals. In Era 1, he was an aspiring comedian and would use the challenge, hone his comedy stylings, as well as try to get exposure. And finally, for the most memorable moments, I decided to go with Mike the Miz, who at the time was an aspiring WWE wrestler. The Miz would win twice in Era 1, but he's mainly on this Mount Rushmore because of how memorable it was when Mike would switch from Mike to the Miz. And starting with the women, on the competition side, I chose Evelyn. Evelyn is one of the toughest competitors to ever play the challenge. During this era, she was able to make 3 consecutive finals, winning 2 out of the 3. And if it wasn't for the rules in the Gauntlet 3, she would have been 3 out of 3. Also during this era, she won 22 daily challenges, 2 eliminations, 2 face-offs. For her social game, I chose Susie for the Mount Rushmore in Era 2. Susie may not be known as the nicest competitor, especially if your name was Tanya. But looking at her stats, being on 4 seasons on the flagship show, never being eliminated, seeing very minimal eliminations just proves how good of a social game she had. Because she is not looked at as a physically dominant player, I put a lot of her success on the way she was able to maneuver around the game socially. For the confessionals, I chose Tina. And come on, do I need to say any more? Tina is a wordsmith when it comes to confessionals, and it really showed and highlighted in Season 12 Fresh Meat, where she had so many moments of confessionals that when rewatching is a highlight to the season itself. And for the iconic moments, I went with DM. DM was very impactful on both Era 2 and Era 3, but Era 2, we were introduced to her, got to learn about her cancer diagnosis, her news of being in remission, and her budding romance with CT. When I think of big moments in Era 2, I think of the ring tossed daily challenge where we have that emotional moment with DM taking off her wig in front of everybody for the first time. All right, let's move on to Era 2 men. And for the competition side, I think nobody will have a problem with me picking Landon for the competitive side. Landon in Era 2 won 16 daily challenges, 3 eliminations, only 1 loss. Truly, Landon never really played with alliances until Season 19, and we saw that once he was able to get in with alliances, he was a pro and was able to prove himself in the final, winning in Season 19 as well. Truly one of the best competitors in challenge history from a competitive standpoint. For the social game, I went with Derek. Very much Derek could have been in the competitive side as he won multiple daily challenges, multiple eliminations, won 3 seasons in this era as well. But after his elimination on Season 11, I really think that Derek had a change in mindset. He played way more strategically. He played smarter, not harder, getting into alliances, as well as playing the middle of the fence in multiple seasons. For example, in the island, there were these 2 big factions on that season, yet Derek was able to have friends on both sides, and both sides wanted to take Derek to the final. And I truly believe Derek's social game is very underrated. For the confessionals, I went with Wes. We can all see Wes is a physical competitor in Era 2, but one thing we also very much know is that Wes has some really top-notch confessionals. And finally, for the most memorable moments of Era 2, I have to go with CT. With everything involving DM, the situation on the Duel 2, as well as the Bananas backpack. I think that's enough said. Moving on to Era 3, on the women's side of the competition, I chose Cara Maria. Cara Maria had won 17 daily challenges, 11 eliminations, made it to multiple finals, and won in season 27. Cara Maria started off her challenge career as an underdog, but in Era 3, she really established herself as the competitive physical player. Next up for the women on the social side, I chose Paula Walnuts. Paula really always had a good social standing, being within the mob with the JEK Alliance. But she wasn't cashing in her good social standings until Era 3, where in Season 21 she only saw one elimination, and that was because her and Evelyn got last place in Episode 1, and then never saw another elimination on their way of not only winning, but dominating that final. And then move over to Season 24, where her and Emily made one of, if not the most dominant duos in challenge history, never really having to worry about going into elimination. Really, they worried once, and that was going into the final elimination of the season. But then again, they had a good enough social game to not get voted in. They made the final and won pretty easily. For the drama side, it was really a coin flip between the last two players, and I decided to go with Laurel. Within this era, she had the arguments with Cara, she had the arguments with Paula. Within this era, she met Nicole Z and started this on-again, off-again toxic relationship with her that would follow her for many seasons and many years past season 29. And finally, the other person that I thought could have went into drama, but I decided to put them in memorable moments, not iconic, but memorable moments, and that is Camilla. Mainly, I'm talking about the Camillinator. Let's move on to the men's side. For the competition side of the Mount Rushmore, I went with Johnny Bananas. During Era 3, he was able to win 26 daily challenges, win 6 eliminations, win 4 redemption games, on his way to winning 4 challenge championships. And that's out of 5 final appearances. And I could have used Johnny in the most iconic moments, as in this era he also took the money from Sarah, but I don't want to duplicate on the same Mount Rushmore, but that's also a factor into putting him here on this Mount Rushmore on the competitive side. Social game, I went with CT. Within Era 3, we saw a huge change to CT's game after coming back from his hiatus after what happened on the Duel 2. He realized he can go way further using honey instead of vinegar. In his 7 seasons, he saw 6 eliminations. 2 were in season 21, but mainly people wanted to test him and throw him in because 1, he was a big target, but also this was his first ever season back competing after what happened on the Duel 2. 2 more eliminations happened in Free Agents, one of which was an impromptu draw that he could not get out of, and then one happened in season 29, where he had no choice, but he had to face Darrell for the last final spot for the men's side. So in his 7 seasons, the 6 eliminations that he saw could have been maybe 2 or 3 if he wasn't forced to possibly go into eliminations, and if it came down to a vote or possibly competing to stay safe, he could have maybe saved himself. For the drama side, I chose Corey Wharton. Come on now, from his messy relationships to his messy gameplay. So when I think of drama in Era 3, I think of Corey, as well as he had some pretty funny confessionals as well. And finally, for the most iconic moments on the men's side, I chose Jordan, flipping over all of the cards in season 25 to face off against Johnny. Time for Era 4. Looking on the women's side for the competition, I'm just gonna go with Jenny. I think this is a chalk answer, but Jenny looks like the Terminator. Give her anything and she can excel at it. If it's a run, if it's a swim, if it's lifting anything, if it's math, Jenny has it on lock, and I just feel like if she would have been on more seasons, she could have won multiple challenge seasons, more than 2. For the social game, I chose Tori Deal, who at one point, her motto was friendship, friendship, friendship. Let's just call it what it is. The Vacation Alliance really helped her out, specifically 37, 38, and beyond. And to be honest, that's not just looking at the flagship show, but also looking at the vast array of spin-offs that she was on around the time of Era 4, that she was able to have great success, mainly due to friendships and her social game. On the drama side for the women, I went with Amanda. Amanda had a lot of moments in Era 4 where season 32, that whole debacle between her and Kara's horse. Also her drama with Zach in season 32, which ultimately led them to be eliminated from the season. The Bumble incident in season 33, And then her messy relationship with Fessel, and then adding in Michelle adds a layer of messy, which lead to later seasons as well as spin-off seasons, and also her feud with Tori Deal. Whenever Amanda is on the season, you will know that drama will follow. And with the Era 4 iconic moment on the women's side, I'm going to pick Ashley Millionaire Mitchell for keeping all the money in season 32. Let's move on to the men's side, and really, I think it's a coin flip on competition or social game, and for me, competitively, I'm going to put Jordan up on this Mount Rushmore. This is an era where if Johnny, Jordan, or CT were on a season, they were most likely making a good run and possibly winning, especially if your name is CT. That made me think that maybe I should put CT on the competition side of this Mount Rushmore, but how well Jordan competed in the season 40 final, as well as how many eliminations he had to win in season 34, really boosted his performance level and the competition side for him. So that's why I put him here on the competition side of this Mount Rushmore. Let's move on to the social game, which I think CT should be here, as in this era, these 10 seasons, he only saw 4 eliminations, 2 of which he had to go into elimination to possibly make the final in season 35 and season 36. If he didn't have to go into elimination to get his red or gold skull, the most amount of eliminations CT could have seen was 2. On his way to possibly making 2 more finals, on his way to possibly making 1 extra final, and maybe even winning that season. For confessionals and drama, I decided that I'm gonna go with Devin in the early part of Era 4 was a drama machine. Do we remember the rumor that he started between Kaylee and Bananas in season 31 to hopefully get Bananas thrown into elimination so that Devin could take him on and send him home? And then later on in season 36, where he had what's 8 times 9 Josh and Big Brother Sucks, and even past that point, he would still have decent confessionals even though he was a part of the Vacation Alliance and involved in the Big Brother Alliance. And finally, in Era 4, for the iconic moment Mount Rushmore, I'm gonna go with Derek, because he won against Joss in one of the best eliminations, if not the best elimination of Era 4, where he faced off against Joss in season 31. With the uncertainty of the All-Stars franchise and possibly it ending after 5 seasons, I'm thinking why not just do the Mount Rushmore for the All-Stars series for the men and the women. Starting off with the competition on the women's side, I'm going to go with a softball answer of Janae, tying for 3rd place in her first ever All-Star season, then winning the next 2. Janae is known as Queen of All-Stars for a reason. For the All-Star social Mount Rushmore, we've seen her name before, but I'm going to go with Queen V Veronica. She has been featured on 3 seasons, only seeing 1 elimination. Yes, she was medically disqualified for a foot injury that happened on season 3, but she was really close to making the final in All-Stars 3. Then she made the final in All-Stars 4, and then in All-Stars Rivals, we saw just how good her social and political game was, and if she didn't have to go into elimination to possibly make it to the final, I think Katie and Veronica would have gotten a spot because they were so well insulated and had so many friends looking out for them throughout the entire game. For confessionals and drama, I picked Kellyanne, whether it was Kellyanne versus Janae, or Kellyanne versus the Treehouse Alliance of Kayla and Sylvia, or whether it was just Kellyanne versus Sylvia in All-Stars Rivals. And finally, for the iconic moments of All-Stars, for the women's side, I went with Ayanna with her Greek salad. And finally, for the men's side, I'm gonna go for the competition, Steve. Steve was on 3 seasons, 2 final appearances, could have won All-Stars 4. Then in All-Stars Rivals, he won 5 eliminations. He has won 8 eliminations overall in his All-Stars career. He made the final in All-Stars Rivals and won. I felt like there was a lot of players that could have been nominated for the competition side of All-Stars Mount Rushmore, but I really think that Steve really stamped his name here after what he was able to do on All-Stars Rivals with Adam. For the social game, I went with Nehemiah, as I think of Save the Palace from All-Stars 2. Then in All-Stars 3, he was on Easy Street, having a great social game with Wes, Brad, Naya, and Jordan. For drama, I chose Frank. Need I say more? And for memorable moments, I went with Tech jumping in the pool like he did back in the day on the Challenge 2000, as well as his real world season, and just keeping the OG vibes alive and having some of the best confessionals. I just went with Tech for the last spot on the All-Stars Mount Rushmore. But that is it for all the Mount Rushmores for every single era of the challenge, including All-Stars. What do you think about my Mount Rushmore picks? Let me know down in the comment section below. Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Who do you think should be replaced in a different era of the show? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I now want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.